So, I was working on a video about the Warcraft RPGs, not my RPG, but all the TTRPGs from the early 2000s that were like two in a very quick succession and then nothing. I was working on that video and a topic came up, a topic that I like to talk about this topic, but it doesn't otherwise come up a lot. And that topic is the infamous Phenol Golden Sword. If you have been in the Warcraft scene and the Warcraft RPG scene for a while, you would know very well what I'm talking about. But if you did not, there was a character mentioned in the old RPGs. It was like a side note, like a sample character, something like that. There was a character mentioned there. It wasn't even a picture of her. It was a half-elf called Phenol Golden Sword. And she was supposed to be a half-elf daughter of Daelin Proudmoore and a high-elf mage Kilnar Golden Sword. And yes, that was supposed to be an out-of-wedlock child, that he cheated on his wife with the mage, and which resulted in Phenol Golden Sword. And she became very famous or infamous because she may have been one of the major reasons why the RPGs were taken out of canon and discontinued. And that's because Chris Metzen didn't like the idea of Phenol. He went on record saying that I'm going to try to do a Chris Metzen voice right now. It's probably going to be very bad. Daelin Proudmoore is lawful good. He's not going to cheat on his wife. That was very bad. But you know what I mean. He said that Daelin is lawful good. He's not going to cheat on his wife. And that's I always had a lot to say about that. Okay. Dear Chris Metzen, you are probably not watching this, because no one watches this, but if somehow you are watching this, this man is not lawful good. I know that in the Warcraft 3 editor he's defined as a paladin, and back in 3rd edition of D&D you had to be lawful good to be a paladin, but there is already serious problems with that alone. Firstly, Warcraft paladins only need to believe they're doing good, and can be pretty evil, as we see in the Scarlet Crusade, or heck, Arthas before he became a Death Knight. He was still a paladin, he still had paladin powers, but he was slaughtering innocent people in Stratholme. So you don't need to actually be good to be a paladin in this setting. Secondly, there's no other paladins on Kul Tiras, so how was he one? And most of his abilities were not even paladin-like in the slightest. Like, what were his abilities? Summon sea elementals, Howl of Terror, Forked Lightning, Cyclone. Those are not paladin abilities. The RPG defines him as, not the RPG, the Warcraft 3 editor defines him as a paladin and then gives him no paladin abilities. And, on Kul Tiras, there are no other paladins, so was he really a paladin, or was it just a label on him? So I don't think he was really a paladin, and even if he was, you don't need to be lawful good to be a paladin in this setting. And finally, there is nothing lawful good about him. Let me reiterate how his story went. He comes into Theramore and invades his daughter's kingdom and decides he knows better than her. He decides to violate a sovereign realm's lawful authority. And why does he do that? Is that for some greater lawful or good goal? Is that for some greater good? No, he comes there to start a genocide, because he believes all orcs are evil and must be wiped out. I do not remember the exact quotes he says, but he says that the orcs will never change, and he goes out to start killing orcish civilians. This man is so full of arrogance, self-interest, and hatred that his own daughter lets the Horde kill him. Now, people then hold it against Jaina, whether in character, whether in the story or out of the story, real life. People hold it against Jaina, but they do not hold it against her. After what he did, he comes in and just takes over the realm that she built, and uses the resources that she built on cooperation with other races, and then he uses those resources to start slaughtering innocents. He is not lawful good. He is lawful evil at best, using the law and tradition as a justification for his own hatred. But when you're using the law for chaotic means, like genocide, it probably puts you more in neutral evil category. This is exactly the kind of hypocrite who would cheat on his wife with an elf and then go out saying how bad elves are. Like, whether to cover up or whether to justify his own hatred to himself, justify what he did to himself. Because hypocrites like that are plenty in real life. Like, really, there are few people in this setting that aren't like demons or undead or like aberrations. The few people who are not corrupted by magic in some way that are more evil than this guy. And right off the top of my head, I can name only Garithos that is potentially more evil than him. Like, this man is one of the worst mortal characters in this setting. He is not lawful good by any stretch of the imagination. So, if you ask me, if Finol Golden Sword was really his daughter, it could have been made up by her, it could have been made up by her mother, it could have been, but I totally believe that he was absolutely capable of cheating on his wife and then pretending the daughter doesn't exist, because he is exactly the kind of prick who would do that. Okay, end of rant.